All right, party people. So today is the day where we're going to compare the Ktuner version 2 to my Hondata FlashPro. And I'm going to tell you why I chose the one that I chose. We're going to talk about the differences and the similarities between the two. And we're going to talk about, which one is kind of the better unit for your situation. When I first got my Civic Type R, I originally had an 8th gen Civic Si, which everybody used Hondata FlashPro. So I was naturally thought, okay, I'm just going to get a FlashPro. But then I started looking on the forums and I saw that Ktuner was doing a lot of big things with the Civic platform, with the Si and the Type Rs and even the standard Civics. And I was like, wow, I didn't really know which one to get. And so I kept reading all this different information in the forums and just racking my brain. I'm like, I don't know which one I'm gonna get. So I bought both of them. Now in today's video, we're not gonna go through how to install everything and all that stuff. We'll do that in a later video. But I did wanna really compare the differences between these because I think there's a lot of things that people should know about regarding these, and hopefully it'll help you make a decision on which one's better for your build. Also, I will throw links to both of these down in the description below. That way you can compare and contrast, and if you wanna pick one up, you can pick one up. They might be affiliate links, which means if you buy it and using my link, I might get a small kickback, for it, but that's how we keep this channel running. So if that's something you're into, I appreciate it. Now, I will be honest with you, I'm just gonna give you a spoiler alert. And the only reason I wanna give you a spoiler alert is because I wanna give a shout out to somebody. I chose the FlashPro, which we'll get into in a minute. And therefore, I'm not gonna cover anything else after today's video on the Ktuner. Reason being, I was planning on doing more videos with this, but Cameron Hill, he has a YouTube channel. I will link him down in the description below. You guys should go check him out. He's doing a lot of stuff with the Civic Si, and his Ktuner version 2 was stolen out of his car. And I was originally going to sell this, but I know what that's like to get stuff stolen, and you're trying to build a channel and something bad happened. So I'm just going to give this to him. He's going to cover more in-depth stuff on the Ktuner V2 for you. So make sure you subscribe to his channel. That way he'll cover the Ktuner stuff, and then I'm going to cover the Hondata stuff on this channel. So in future videos, we're going to talk about how you install this, how you upload tunes, how you data log, how you get the gauges on your head unit, and all that crazy stuff. And to be really honest with you guys, they're both fantastic options, both the FlashPro and this. If I could actually marry these two together, I think we would have the perfect tuner. But because they're competing companies, they're not married together. In a nutshell, this one feels like something that's made for modern cars with modern technology, whereas this one feels a little bit dated. However, this one has a lot of features that this one doesn't have, and this one has a lot of features that this one doesn't have. So it really comes down to which one is the best for your application and for what your goals are for your car. Let's start with the Ktuner, then we'll talk about the FlashPro. So the Ktuner comes in two versions. There's the version 1.2 and there's the version 2, which we have right here. The version 1.2 is very similar to the FlashPro in its form and function. It's just a little box, and then you got to use a laptop to upload your tunes and everything. Whereas with the version 2, you get a 5-inch display. It has all your readings. It has gauges. Right here, it even has shift lights. So if you're wanting to drive around and get a little warning light, you can get that. You can also program these LEDs for different colors. You can also program the way that they light up, whether it fades when it lights up or if it just lights up each individual one. It's totally up to you. There's a lot of customizations that can be done. In regards to the gauges that are on here, they're very much real-time gauges. You can get the RPM gauge, you can set shift lights, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff with this. You can also store tunes on here. I don't remember how many tunes you can store. I think it's 3. If I'm wrong, correct me down in the comments, or if I'm wrong and I figure it out before I publish this video, I'll put an annotation. I believe you can store 3 tunes up here, which you can flash on the fly without the need of a laptop. So you can literally just have this mounted on your window or in your center console, and you can say, boom, I want to flash this tune, run that. It comes with like 4 or 5 different tunes for the Type R. It comes with Stage 0, which adds 20 wheel horsepower and 35 foot-pounds of torque. There's Stage 1 that adds 50 wheel horsepower and 65 pound-feet of torque. They haven't released Stage 2 yet. They said they've been working on it, but they've been working on it for like the past year, and I haven't seen anything in regards to a Stage 2 map yet. The other cool thing is they have other tunes on there that are variations of the Stage 0 and the Stage 1. For example, you can flash it with a Stage 1 with dampened first gear. That way, you don't just spin tires the whole time out. It is kind of like a form of traction control. It just reduces power in first gear so you can, take off a little bit faster. One of my favorite tunes that is on here is the multi-stage, whereas you flash the tune and you can use the Type R mode select button to select your tune. So for example, comfort mode could be like stage 0, and then sport mode could be stage 1, and then R mode could be stage 1 plus some additional features, and that's kind of cool. I really like that. In addition to that, not only can you program tunes from the screen here, but if you can actually use your steering wheel controls to select which map you want to run. It will just hover at the RPM 1, 2, or 3, and then you can select that. Essentially, the way you do is whenever you get this, you download their software on your computer, you register your car, and then you lock it to your VIN number. Whenever you want to sell it, you unlock it, and then you can sell it, and then the other people, whoever buys it from you, can lock it to their car. You can also run data logs on here and stuff like that. So if you're trying to fix something, you can see that. The other cool thing about this is it will connect to your Android phone. So if you wanted to mount your phone onto your dash so the camera can, record your racing, it will actually overlay like your RPMs, your speed, all that crazy stuff onto the video, which that's pretty cool if you want to watch that for later or put it in a YouTube video. There's always some cool stuff you could do with that. Also, in addition to the gauges that you get on here, you can also download their Tuner View app, and it will show up on your head unit. So you can get, a couple of gauges here, and then you can get more advanced gauges on your head unit. You have full view of everything that your car is doing. A couple other cool pros that has to it is they do come with launch control, and it also comes with anti-lag, which I would not use anti-lag unless you have a built motor. Trust me, people have blown motors using anti-lag, so there's always that. Now, what are the main cons to this one? Well, with the Civic Type R, we have a locked ECU, and therefore we have to take our ECU out, you have to package it up, mail it off to Ktuner, and then they will mail it back to you. Usually the turnaround time is about 3 to 4 business days. I believe it could be 2 or 3 business days. You overnight it to them, they jailbreak it, they overnight it back to you, you reinstall it, then you can start, getting this thing locked to your ECU and all that cool stuff. So don't even try to install this until you sent your ECU off to have it jailbroken. Now, one of the good things about that is the price of the Ktuner does include the price of having your ECU jailbroken. So for example, it's all included in the price. You get a shipping label, you take your ECU out. Downside to that is you're gonna be without your car for about 2 or 3, maybe 4 days, depending if there's a holiday, where you can't drive it because you don't have an ECU in it. So you're like, well, crap. That sucks. Another con to the Ktuner that I don't like is it doesn't have traction control, at least for the Type R, not yet at the date of making this video. There's no traction control for it, and also there's no options to use flex fuel if you wanted to run some E85. There's a whole book about that on Civic X, but whenever I'm looking into a tuner, I don't look at the tuners to be like, oh, which one has the best base maps? I don't look at it like which one has the most options for base maps, because I'm gonna get a custom tune anyway. If you didn't see that video, I will link it right up here so you can go watch it later. So that's not really a big deal to me, but you can definitely have this custom tuned to your liking, to what works best for your car. In a nutshell, that's the Ktuner V2. The price of the version 2 is $899. The price of the version 1.2 is, I believe, $699. So anywhere from $700 to $900 is what you're gonna pay for one of these guys. Now let's move over to Hondata. Now the Hondata FlashPro is this unit right here. It has a cord right here. It's permanently affixed to this. On the Ktuner version 1.2 that I was talking about, it's a box like this that plugs directly into your OBD2 port, and then this cord can come out of it, which I kind of wish this one was like that, but it's not. It's permanently fixed. Comes with another cable that plugs right into your laptop. Another thing about the FlashPro is it comes in 2 versions as well. It comes as a race or a carb legal. Basically, if you live in California, you get the carb legal one. If you live anywhere else, you get the race version. The first con that you're going to see about this one is there's no touch screen. You don't get any cool little gauges. However, you can run the Hondata app on the head unit. Don't worry, I'll have a video about how to do that in the future, but we're not going to talk about that portion of it today. But you do get a head unit app to use with this one just like you do with Ktuner. I will say this, the way that the app looks, it doesn't look as nice as the Tuner View. The Tuner View has a more sophisticated look to it, whereas this one has more of a, it's not really a blah, because it's not a bad app. I actually really enjoy the app. It does everything I need it to do. And I feel like Ktuner put a lot more effort into their software development. Now this one, you can store 2 tunes on here and you can flash them on the fly. We'll talk about that in a future video, but basically, you keep this thing plugged into your car at all times, and that's how you are able to run the app. You can have a primary tune and a secondary tune. To flash the primary tune, you simply have your car in the on position, and you press and hold the program button for 1 second. If you want to flash the secondary tune, you press the data logging button first for about 3 to 4 seconds, then you press and release the program button. So you press it and hold it for 1 second, then release, and that will flash your secondary tune. So you can't store as many tunes on here as you can on the Ktuner version 2, but you do have the option to have a primary and a secondary. Where this lacks in, innovative features and nice touch screens, it totally makes up for it with the features that you get. I believe the included base maps that come on this for the Type R, there's probably about 20, 22, I don't know the exact number. There is a whole page of different net maps that you can get. So if you add bolt-ons, there's a tune for 91 octane with an intercooler. There's a tune for 93 octane with an intercooler. There is tunes for E85 flex fuel. So this one has flex fuel support, unlike the Ktuner version 2. This one also has traction control, which is phenomenal. The traction control on this, it overlays on top of the traction control that comes from the factory. So you don't have to disable the traction control from the factory. It'll just kind of take over that traction control. And very similar to the Ktuner, you can also data log with this one. You just hit the data log button and you're good to go. And there's little indicator lights up here that tell you what's going on with what. So now let's kind of talk about the pros and the cons of this. Con number 1, like I mentioned earlier, it's not as sophisticated as the Ktuner version 2. Con number 2 is you must use a laptop to flash tunes and to make tweaks, whereas with this one, you can make a lot of tweaks just right here on the fly. Pro number 1, you can instantly jailbreak your ECU with this one. There's actually a couple of different options. If money's not really a big deal to you, you don't even have to jailbreak your factory ECU. You can take your ECU out, send it to Hondata. They will clone your ECU to another one. I think it's like $1,000 to get this done. And then it will keep your OEM ECU untouched. And so the clone will be jailbroken. Then they send you back both ECUs. You plug in the clone so you can do your tunes. Then if you ever need to swap out your OEM one, now you can put your OEM one in and it's just unmolested. So that's a pretty cool option. But the coolest option is the instant jailbreak. So with the Ktuner V2, like I mentioned, you have to overnight your ECU in and then wait 3 or 4 days to get yours back. With this one, that used to be the case, but they've updated it since. And essentially, you just plug this into your car, you hit instant jailbreak, your ECU is jailbroken, and you're ready to start flashing tunes. So that's pretty cool. In addition to traction control, flex fuel, this also has anti-lag as well as rolling anti-lag. Like I mentioned earlier, don't even try it unless you have a built motor. At the very least, have a catless downpipe if you're gonna use it, because you could blow out your cats. And this one cost, I believe, $650. So $650, you get the instant jailbreak, you get launch control, you have E85 support, you get rolling anti-lag, you get traction control, all that crazy stuff. So for me, I drove with this one for the first couple of months that I had my Civic Type R. I liked it, but I found that I just didn't use this screen like I thought I would. I thought that I would just use this screen all the time, change up my tunes. And the truth of the matter is, once you get your tune dialed in, you don't really want to switch it, you know? I don't really have a map for daily driving and a map for the track. I mean, maybe your situation is different, but I just found myself just not using this. The other thing that was kind of bugging me was when you buy this, it doesn't come with the window mount. So you have to go to Amazon, spend about $15 to $20 for another window mount. You know, there's a few different ways you can mount this. I had this mounted just to the left of my steering wheel up on the dash, and I just found that it was in the way. I just found it was cumbersome. Some people have mounted it down in their center console area. And for me, I just kind of wanted it out of the way. I like the gauges, but I could just use the Tuner View gauges. So to me, although I love everything about this for my purposes, most of it was kind of gimmicky. Now with this one, it does bother me that I don't have like a cool touch screen where I can flash it like an iPhone, but having traction control, having support for E85. This thing, every time I flash a new tune to this thing, they got a new update out for it. Like, they're always constantly updating this thing. And so it seems to me that Hondata, they're really staying on par with what's coming out in regards to things that actually matter. And what I mean by that is there are people that want E85. So if they have Ktuner, they can't do that. You know, there's people that want traction control like me. If they want that, they can't use Ktuner. And I'm not bashing Ktuner. I think it's a great thing. It's just not for me. When it comes to the Ktuner, whether it's the version 1.2, the V2, or the Hondata, I'm gonna choose the Hondata just because of traction control, E85, and the constant updates that it comes out with, and the instant jailbreak. And because it's instant jailbreak, you don't have any downtime on your car for 3 or 4 days, and it's only $650 versus $900. But it really comes down to this, guys. Which one's your favorite and why? I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. If I missed anything about either of these, I apologize. Just feel free to correct me down in the comments. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. But until next time, guys, I love you. You guys stay sexy.